Welcome back. I'm Adrienne, your expert on all things custom home building and luxury. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Tell a friend how much fun we have on the Fraser Homes channel. So today we're talking about job site inefficiencies. That's right. You can have a job site that is set up and it is inefficient and it is going to result in, you guessed it, not again, downtime. So here we go. We're going to talk about, so one of the common areas is poor planning. Now we are kind of belaboring this because we talked about how much planning we needed to do in order to be a good project manager. And then we talked about how much planning we needed to do in order to have excellent time management. But the realities are we win the game, we win the construction targets when we are planning. Now, examples of poor planning is when the subs show up and they do not have the right materials. This has happened on Fraser Homes jobs a number of times, and we have skinnied that down quite a bit. Can you imagine how unprofessional, quite frankly, it is for a sub or a vendor to show up to the job site and are ready and prepared to work? Let's say, for example, it's the electrician and he needs to install the generator. He didn't provide the generator is coming from X, and the generator is not on site. We had the electrician come to the site, have all of his tools, bring everything he needs, only to show up to the site and to realize that actually we're not prepared. And that is inefficiency. It's not fair to the electrician. The process is not moving in the way that we intend for it to move. And ultimately, it creates delays and dissatisfaction for our customer. So, in order to have an efficient job, it is super important that we plan to make sure that materials show up for the purposes of that example. But there are a ton of examples of how not planning it ultimately results in an inefficient job. Now, what can you do? You can utilize your schedule, look at your schedule, and then you need to make sure that you have a way to confirm and verify. So, once the material has showed up, verify that it is the right material, and then you will contact your electrician to confirm that the schedule is in alignment. This is the way that you avoid some of those poor planning inefficiencies. All right, so what is another one? Now, it shows up on our downtime acronym where we talk about mistakes, but mistakes are a result of missing or inaccurate information. I can't tell you how many times that I have seen on projects that are not just Fraser Homes projects, but they are other similarly situated projects where there was missing or inaccurate information. So what happens is there's some confusion. We've seen it where the architect puts that we're going to have a 10-foot foundation wall and our specification says we're going to have a 9-foot foundation wall. Which one is the right one? Could you imagine if we did not actually spend the time studying and reviewing? Then we would be in the field with our subs and vendors trying to figure out which is the right one. That is the inappropriate time to discover that there's misinformation or inaccurate information. That's inappropriate during the game, okay? Because we believe that the construction is that we are in the game. And when we are snapping the ball and we are running plays, this is not the time to try to figure out if the playbook is right. This is the reason why we study. But the point is that inefficiency happens when you have inaccurate or misinformation and you don't discover it at the proper time. Obviously, that results in rework. If we have to come back and do something different, it results in rework. And so, for those reasons, we believe in studying ahead. But again, it's inefficient. So, what is the fix? You already guessed it, study. We just have to study. We need to make sure that we're getting all of our RFIs out to our subs and our vendors and our architects and our engineers beforehand, get everything buttoned up, and then make sure that as the project manager, I have all of my information in order and I can communicate it. So it's not just good enough for you to have the information in your head. You need to be able to communicate to everybody that is going to play an active role on the job. All right, another inefficient process or what shows up as inefficiency on the project is lack of or delayed decision making. You've heard me talk about how we need to make our selection choices and we need to make them in a timely fashion. Why? Because it will slow down the job. So that means that the job will become inefficient. We won't have a continuous flow. One of the things as a Lean Six Sigma person, you all know that I love continuous improvement. I'm a black belt in Six Sigma. Continuous improvement and continuous flow is a huge, huge area of importance for me. It comes from the manufacturing world, but the point is that we don't want to have this where something is happening and then we stop, and then something is happening and then we stop. We want it to be continuous flow. So if we have to wait on decisions, if we have to wait on selections, if we have to wait on information that needs to come from engineers and architects, etc., it means that we don't have continuous flow, and that means that it is inefficient. You understand that when you have to ramp back up. So if you are continuous, you are getting the best in terms of efficiency. That's even fuel efficiency. But when you have to start and stop, you're not getting that efficiency. And that is what we are trying to avoid when it comes to our Fraser Homes jobs. All right, ineffective supervision. Okay, so there is no one that is leading the project. Okay, everyone is kind of just doing their thing. The painter is painting while the interior trim carpenter is cutting, and there's sawdust everywhere, and people are just doing whatever they want to do. Do you think that that lends to quality? Absolutely not. And you know, our cornerstone is we want 100% AAA rated quality. And that means that there has to be a leader. Someone has to be saying, this is the way that we want things to go, and we want to do it in a respectful way. You've heard me talk about making sure that our subs have everything that they need: scope, materials, information, supplies, electric, if that's what they need, all of the things that they need in order to be able to get on their job, get on our job, work quickly, and be able to go to their next project. And so that keeps the industry thriving when we don't have all of these inefficiencies. And so there you have it. Inefficiencies on the job are the brother of downtime. It is the exact same thing, but we're just getting a little bit more granular. And if your builder is not running in an efficient job, it means they don't know the difference.